Howdy there, folks. Welcome into today's video. Very serious video here in this one here today. It's no fun, no games, but I absolutely need to record this video for all my subscribers out there so you can be aware of what's going on right now and make some adjustments, and some adjustments that can likely save you. And I want you to also kind of share these thoughts I'm going to share with you in this video with friends and family out there. So hopefully it puts them in a better position, because nonetheless, it's a very serious matter. And if it's not done properly, folks will be hurt, and they'll be hurt very, very bad and in a much more significant way, okay? So hope you guys enjoy this as always. I thank you for being subscribed and just value in this one, okay? So I'm not sure how much you guys pay attention to what's going on out there, but, you know, even though I was on vacation last week, I still kind of try to keep a little bit up to what's going on out there. I don't know if you guys saw this. Amazon, one of the strongest companies in the world, one of the greatest companies in the entire world, one of the greatest balance sheet companies in the world, right? Incredible business model. They just announced that they're going to lay off more than 18,000 workers, and almost all those are in the kind of corporate field there, right? I'm sure there's a lot of really good jobs, and those folks are unfortunately losing their jobs, right? And the big question is, where do those folks go? Like, seriously, those 18,000 workers, where are they going to go get another job from right now? Because I can tell you, the environment for those sorts of folks is not necessarily a great one, because all Amazon's competitors are also basically have hiring freezes on right now, right? Salesforce, this just came out this past week. Salesforce to lay off 10% of their staff. The software company plans to cut around 8,000 jobs as business slows for tech companies. We hired too many people leading into this economic downturn, said the Salesforce chief executive. This is what we're seeing consistently out there. Where are these 8,000 Salesforce workers that, who knows, maybe they were making 100,000 on average, or 150,000 or 200,000 on average, right? We know a lot of these big tech companies, their average salaries many times can be 200,000 plus average salary, sometimes 300,000 plus. So these are great jobs, and these are for folks that usually have a lot of money to spend out there in the economy, right, that are losing jobs left and right. And where do those folks go right now, right? This is extremely important, what I'm showing you right here, okay? Here's a chart of tech layoffs so far, right? Now, keep in mind, we're only 1/3 through the month right now. And, you know, you can clearly see there's been a major tick up over the last 6 months or so, right? It really started in June. I mean, things were already ticking up before June, but June, I think, was the month that things really got kicked off, right? And the worst month we've seen so far was November of 2022. Now, that was right after essentially a lot of companies reported their previous quarter numbers, because a lot of tech companies reported their numbers in October, right? So which means in February, you could see another major amount of layoffs in the overall tech field. This chart shows you even more. This is number of tech employees let go. Once again, we're only 1/3 through this month, and look at that chart so far, right? And this shows you, you know, what companies did the layoffs and whatnot. Once again, November was the worst. Could February be even worse? We'll have to see. If companies come in with very weak guidance, stock prices go down, don't be surprised if you see another leg lower for a lot of companies out there nonetheless, right? So incredible. Now, you might say, okay, well, I don't work in tech, so this doesn't affect me. So what? A bunch of these tech workers that make 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 a year are being let go. I don't work in tech. It's not a problem for me. First off, I know a lot of people that watch my channel do work in tech. I know there's a lot of Meta employees. I know there's a ton of Tesla employees that work in corporate or engineers for Tesla. I know there's a lot of Apple folks and Google folks that watch my channel, Palantir. And, you know, I know there's a lot of folks that watch my channel that are in tech, so this does matter for you. But even if you don't work in tech, this is going way beyond tech field in 2023. We're just at the tip of the iceberg here, essentially, okay? You know, you look at something like Coinbase. Is Coinbase really considered tech? I don't know, okay? Maybe. I would almost consider them more like fintech, something like that, almost more into like the banking sector, right? And you look at Coinbase, they just slashed another 20% of their workforce yesterday. And this is the second major round. Now, that's a big problem, because it's not like these companies are just cutting jobs once. It's like the first time is just the first time. And then they do another round of cuts, then another round of cuts. And next thing you know, there's 2-3 rounds of these job cuts, right? Maybe there's going to be 4 rounds of job cuts for some of these companies before it's all said and done, right? So it's like a cut and then a cut and then a cut. And so you think you might be safe after the first one. Whew, I made it. And then you still get fired the next round or the next round after that, right? That's something scary. But this is going way beyond tech. Did you guys see this? This came out just a few days ago, okay? McDonald's warns it will slash many of its 200,000 corporate staff in the coming months. As the Chicago, this is McDonald's, okay? McDonald's. They're going to begin layoffs in April of 2023, okay? Now, this is, like I said, this is going way beyond tech. I think tech was just kind of the tip of the iceberg that kind of started things in 2022. But this is going to go in. Remember, a stock like McDonald's hasn't even been hit yet. When a lot of these, if a lot of these Dow stocks get hit, which a lot of them probably will at some point in 2023, it's just a question is it the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, okay? But what's going to happen is when those stock prices start to get hit in a major way, these Dow stocks are going to get a lot of pressure on them to do cuts like the tech companies have done. And so companies like McDonald's that haven't even seen their stock prices be hit are going to be forced to start cutting employees left and right, essentially, okay? And that's going to be a crazy scenario because we haven't even seen these sorts of companies really cut in any major way. Did you see Goldman Sachs? Did you see Goldman Sachs, the news that just came out yesterday? Goldman Sachs is laying off as many as 3,200 employees this week. That's a lot of employees for a company like Goldman Sachs. And let me ask you this. Where do those employees go? Who's really hiring? You think JP Morgan's just going to magically hire them, or Bank of America? Or, where are those employees going to go right now? Likely not, because all those other companies are thinking about not hiring. They're thinking about firing staff as well. If Goldman Sachs is cutting 3,200 employees, I can guarantee you every other Wall Street bank out there is thinking the same exact thing and probably has plans in the works right now of how many employees are we going to fire, right? In those, I can tell you at Goldman Sachs, man, those people are probably making an average of 300,000 plus a year, if not a higher dollar amount than that. And they just all got cut, right? And like I said, where do those folks go? There's going to be nowhere to go in the short term for those folks, right? Now, in my opinion, what's going to play out here essentially, right, is unemployment rate is going to go higher. If you had to say, is the job picture going to get better or worse over the next 12 months? I would almost be guaranteed is going to get worse over the next 12 months. And you will see unemployment rate tick up and tick up and tick up as we go throughout the next 12 months, okay? Now, the next very important thing is how do you prevent from not getting fired? And I think that's where a lot of value comes in. You see a lot of this, right? But how do you prevent this? And I give you a few steps that will definitely help you not get fired, right? Some companies are going to do layoffs, but at the end of the day, it's survival of the fittest. And how companies do this is maybe there's a department, right? Maybe there's 30 people that work in this department of this company. And the CEO or a big dog says to your boss, hey, we need you to cut 50% of your staff in that department. So he's going to go ahead and look, and he's going to say, who are the 15 workers that I don't need, right? And who are the 15 that stay? And he's going to have to, or she's going to have to make that hard decision of who to cut, right? And so it's going to be survival of the fittest. So how do you make sure you are not one of those that ends up getting cut, right? Well, first thing is keep close contact with your boss. Have a very healthy, good relationship with your boss. This is key, okay? At the end of the day, as much as things are based upon performance, in this world, we know politics do come into play. And think about it like this for a second, okay? Think about it. Let's say you and another worker, you guys are, let's say same performance, right? But your competitor, right, the other person that works for that company, is really close with the boss. Who do you think's getting fired? 99.9% of the time, you're going to be the one that gets fired. If you guys have roughly the same performance, but they're really close with the boss, I guarantee you're going to be the one that gets fired in the end. That's the way this plays out, okay? It's always been the way this plays out, and it always will be the way this plays out. You've got to keep very close contact with whoever your superior is at your company, okay? Have a very close, good relationship. Other thing I say, put in as much effort and time as possible in the short term. This is not a time to be lazy. A lot of people got away with being very lazy in 2020, 2021, and part of 2022 at their companies, right? And it was kind of like because the jobs were so plentiful, everybody's making so much money, so a lot of workers got very entitled, probably the most entitled workforce we've seen maybe ever, but certainly in modern times, because there's jobs everywhere, all these jobs paying $100,000 plus a year, and so people start taking things for granted. Oh, I don't want to come back to the office. Screw you. I'm working at home from now on, right? Workers got really, really entitled really, really quickly because workers got everything on their side essentially, right? It's over. It's done. So now at this point in time, who do you think is going to get fired? The workers with attitudes and entitled, or the folks that are putting in that extra effort, right? Believe me, the bosses can't wait to fire those entitled, the folks that they feel are entitled, right? They can't wait to can those folks. Though they may make it sound nice, but believe me, in backdoor meetings, they're like, I can't wait. I can't freaking wait to fire that person, okay? Number 3, don't slip up. Don't do anything that can get you in a situation that is something people are going to remember, your boss is going to remember, or the higher ups are going to remember about you. Oh, they were late. Oh, they had bad performance. Anything like that. Don't give them even anything, okay? Because if you give them just one thing, and next thing you know, the upper comes down the next day and says, hey, you got to get ready to cut. And they have that stuck in their memory, something negative in regards to you. That could be the difference between you surviving and making it through and not surviving, right? It is survival of the fittest, right? Now, next thing you got to think about, have your backup plan ready in case you do get canned this year, okay? First thing is, do you have at least 6 months plus of living expenses? That's very, very key. Look at your overall living expenses. Maybe it's $3,000 a month, right? Do you have at least $18,000, if not more than that, sitting around? So just in case you do get canned, you got the money to basically keep living, right? And in case you don't get a job right away, because sometimes you don't get a job right away, right? And you don't want to just count on unemployment or something like that. Second thing is, you got to think about where could you realistically get hired right now? Because if your company's firing people or going to consider firing people, it's almost guaranteed that your company's competitors are also going to be doing the same exact thing. So you got to really think about this realistically on where you would actually have a chance to get hired if you were to get fired at your current company, okay? Those are absolutely key in this environment. They're key in any environment, okay? Now, for the folks that are thinking, oh crap, man, a bunch of people could lose jobs over this next year, unemployment rate could go up, and we could have a higher unemployment rate for the next few years than we've had over the last few years, right? So that means doom and gloom for the stock market. Doesn't work like that. It never has been. And if you look back to the great financial crisis, right, the stock market bottomed way before unemployment topped, essentially, okay? Unemployment kept going up way after the stock market bottomed. And guess what? It took years, keyword is years, for unemployment to come lower than when it was when the stock market bottomed. Okay, so it's just there's really no correlation. It has a lot more to do with how company earnings do, what the Fed's up to, a lot of different various factors that come into play. You know, if you follow the unemployment rate and you follow the stock market chart, they're not even remotely correlated, not even remotely. Here, unemployment kept going up and stayed high for years. Meanwhile, the stock market went over those next few years, okay? This is something you have to keep in mind. Next thing up here. And it's not just important to keep your job for, a roof over your head and all those sorts of things, right? And food on the table. The other reason in keeping your job so dang important over this next year is you got to think back to the great financial crisis. Who was able to buy during that time? I'll tell you who was able to buy. It wasn't just the people that were smart and the people that were brave and were willing to put their money on the line in an ugly time period. It was the people that had more income than expenses. That's who was able to buy. And that's the other component that I want you to think about and keep in mind why it's so dang important that if you have a great opportunity, you keep that opportunity over this next 12 months, guys. Okay? So that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hope you got some good value out of it. Keep everything in mind. Share this with friends and family so they are up to date. If you enjoyed today's video and you want to support the channel, consider doing so with the pinned comment down there. That's for our Patreon. I appreciate y'all. Much love as always. And have a great day.